Look! Up in the air! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Three Wise Radio!
Well, that's disappointing.
He's trying to call.
That just said we can't complete your call.
Damn it.
Try again. Real hilarious.
Good one,
I'm
kid.
dying. My sides are split and my guts are everywhere.
Good.
What was it? What was it supposed to
It
be?
was supposed to be the John Cena theme.
Oh, that would have been good. Curses.
Oh, I hear that up in my headspace 24/7 anyway, so.
Good. Glad I'm not the only one.
Oh, I saw one today where I saw a video on Facebook where it was a screenshot of a tweet and it said Harambe was just a gorilla, and somebody put in an effect where it ripped open a small hole in the tweet and it was John Cena's face and it just said, "You sure about that?" And then it was like a compilation of all different funny monkey shit, like from King Kong and.
Good.
That's the kind of stuff I wish I could just quit my job and make.
That sounds about right. Yep. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Always ready.
Hey, Lando.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about video games, movies, comic books, TV shows, the internet, and pretty much everything else media related. My name is Joe Greller. I am one of the three wise guys. Joining me as always are the other two wise guys, Garret Welker and Sam Pixley. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hey, Joe.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
And you're doing well yourself, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Nice long day at work, but I'm here. This is the highlight of my Sundays, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was on a plane this morning, coming back from Houston. Lovely town.
You were coming back from Houston with our senior DCU correspondent, who's also just happens to be your brother, Charlie Pixley, who's joining us.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, that's a coincidence.
Who's joining us via Skype right now. And Charlie, how are you doing this week? Getting the pleasantries out of the way.
Mighty fine. This is the highlight of my Sundays as well, until full-time football starts up again.
Oh, yeah.
So
That'll
true.
probably going to move the days we record.
Preseason starts tonight.
Does it?
Technically,
I
it
guess.
does. It's not a good thing, but it is a thing.
Just like our first headline, Squirrel Girl might be coming to the MCU, or at least Edgar Wright wants Squirrel Girl to come to the MCU. We're not even going to comment on this story. Instead, I'm going to propose you. Oh, you can if you want. But I'm going to propose a new question, and that is, when is enough enough? Like Squirrel Girl.
Right now.
Exactly. Squirrel Girl is not an important character. We don't need her.
It's because she's been gaining so much popularity lately with her comic, which personally not a fan of, but I'd be okay if they did like an Ultimate Squirrel Girl thing.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know Squirrel Girl had a comic until you just said it. I didn't know Squirrel Girl existed or was a character until she popped up in Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series.
I liked that Squirrel Girl. That one was cool, but that is not what the main continuity Squirrel Girl is right now.
What is
Just do like a 45-minute thing on Netflix or something that the fans can be happy with, but then you're not wasting like a whole movie budget.
What fans? Like, let's be honest.
I don't
What
know.
fans?
Dude, everybody wants that.
This has brought up a question for me is, when is enough for the MCU? I don't need Squirrel Girl. All honesty, I don't think I needed Ghost Rider in this universe. I didn't need Inhumans really, but it kept Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. interesting, but I hope that now they're kind of trying to phase that out. I'm kind of iffy on Iron Fist at this point because I'm so overloaded with characters. Marvel doesn't know how to do an on-screen treatment where it's just one character for a little bit. Instead, they have to give them a whole arc. Yeah, or multiple episodes, or a movie, or a mini-series. And I don't care enough about some of these characters. I almost feel like it's tedious now trying to keep up with all this.
Well, I mean, they have to. The business is to keep the universe going, so they're gonna keep adding new characters. I think so. Like that's just something that just has to happen to keep it alive. I mean, we're not gonna get 87 Iron Man movies. It's just not gonna happen. They have to branch out at some point. Yeah, no, that's thank goodness for that too. But I think the thing that bothers me with it is that now it becomes such a trendy thing for everybody's talking about it on Twitter. Like everybody's demanding it on Twitter that Anna Kendrick plays Squirrel Girl because everybody's been wanting this for so long. It's just something that it pops.
Which is a lie.
Right. It pops up out of nowhere, and then once a single person hears about it and thinks, "Oh, she'll be the next Gwenpool, or she'll be the next Gwen Stacy Spider-Man," and then everyone just runs with this thing that in reality was probably just a passing comment from somebody.
Yeah.
But the right person heard it. And then it turns into people drawing mock-ups, and I guess it's just people being passionate. I think that's the part of it that kind of just annoys me, is that people just run with literally anything, and then that becomes a thing. I don't have a problem with them introducing new characters, just for the sake of the universe to continue on, but that part kind of is frustrating.
Agreed.
What bothers me is that then one person could say Anna Kendrick as Squirrel Girl, but I'm sitting here preaching about John Cena as Shazam, and no one person has heard that yet.
No, there's a pretty good
tons of mock-ups of that. So.
There's a pretty good art.
I've seen
Did
a
you see
few,
it?
but who
Yeah,
do
it's
I
good.
need to talk to? I guess I need to start tweeting more.
You do, yeah. That's
Okay.
honestly, I think that's how you have to do it.
The only thing Twitter's still used for nowadays.
Tweeting?
No, getting
No.
running
Just-
with wild superhero
Just
ideas.
schedule tweets to go off like every 2 hours, every hour even. Just
You
like
just run a bot just constantly.
yeah, John Cena, Shazam. And
Honestly, I think
that's all your
I think who you tweet
tweeted
it to is The Rock. I'm sure he gets
Yeah.
a ton of tweets, but The Rock, people in his camp, maybe even the WWE, smaller things. You don't tweet DC or Marvel. You tweet smaller things that have
big impact.
ways to kind of get in there and
Yeah.
hope that they're able to do it.
Make it a thing.
Can't wait for that movie to come out.
In some video game news, there is apparently a big Dota tournament going on right now.
Oh yeah,
I say this because
you don't know what it is.
I know. I know very little of Dota because I've watched you play it for 3 years, but that's about it.
No, I
feel
think
you,
just
Joe.
the big thing about it that's the most interesting is we didn't talk about this, but we talked about it in other mediums a couple years ago when the big thing was the Dota 2 Invitational. The prize pool
Right.
is so big, and it started out, it was like 8 million, and that was unheard of. Because what they do is they put in a prize pool, and then they also let fans or people that play the game can spend $10 and unlock like this kind of chest that lets them take part in the competition. They get like info about it when they play the game. They can get new skins for their characters, yada yada yada. But they just broke the record again for the prize pool, and so this is the first time ever that in competitive gaming there's a prize pool worth $20 million for a week's worth of video game playing. They won't, obviously the
To
winners
one
won't win
person,
that.
or-
No, it's a team of 5 and a manager.
Okay.
And obviously they have sponsors and everything like that. But
That are
it's
gonna
just,
see money
it's a
as
sign
well.
for legitimacy. I think the
Manager.
winners will probably get like 12 million, 13 million. The winning team will.
Jeez.
Is
Yeah,
this,
team manager for sure. Like
is
a coach.
this just Dota, or is like
That
Major
one's-
League? No, I know, but is like Major League Gaming a?
No, it's definitely getting bigger.
Yeah.
No. I guess okay. Is Major League Gaming
Is it
overseeing
affiliated?
this? Yeah, like is this a Major League Gaming
Event.
Like
No, it is not MLG.
Okay.
No, MLG is actually not that big. It's
Okay.
mostly like, it's getting bigger, but it doesn't have the grasp that computer games like MOBAs, like Dota, are getting. But yeah, you see, like, especially in Asia, man, that's why the World of Warcraft movie did so well in Asia. Is like they will fill stadiums to watch people on the jumbotrons
Yeah.
play video games. I think it's just interesting that you make $20 million.
I mean, you're not too far off. When I guess it's essentially no different than back in the 50s. You would see crowds of people watching people play chess. I mean, it's strategy, just trying to outwit the other person.
Yeah, I
right?
suppose.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just blows my mind. I just think it's also just a brilliant move by them to let the prize pool be fueled by gamers, because they're one of the most excessively loyal and
Have disposable
enthusiastic
income.
fans. So they definitely want to take part in that. It's just a smart move. I thought it was an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, it is. Also in video game news, the Xbox One S is apparently coming out. Is this, in Microsoft stealing from an Apple idea? What is this? I've never heard of a video game console having a halfway gen.
Yeah, they do it.
I guess it's like the 360 Slim.
Yeah, I think
They
the S
just shortened
stands
it
for
to S,
slim.
I think.
Okay, is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
I guess.
It's just a smaller
Yeah.
version of the
They've
console.
been doing this
upgrades on it,
since
too.
Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. They'll come out with essentially what people are saying now that it happens every year is they're coming out with what the console should be at this point. Like the big draws for this one is that it's 40% smaller, so it's about the size of a PlayStation now instead of the giant clunky Xbox. So like the big power brick isn't a power brick anymore; it's inside the system. But the bigger draw is it's a 4K player.
Okay.
So a 4K.
So you can
media
watch
player.
a Batman vs Superman.
I can watch the Batman vs Superman movie that I have that's on 4K, not Blu-ray, because they're idiots. The only thing with that is that there aren't any 4K compatible games out yet. They're slated, but none of them have come out yet. So you're basically making an investment for the future. But on the other hand, in the future, Xbox, the Project Scorpio is supposed. They're saying within 2 years it'll be out. So that's the next generation. So it's kind of tricky to say what you want to do.
Is this jumping the gun?
No, because Xbox is going to do it, or PlayStation is going to do it too. It's just what they do now. It's got the Madden syndrome. Like, we need to come out with something a little bit slimmer to increase the profits. So I'm sure PlayStation will come out with their 4K. It's supposed to drop within the next couple of months, and it'll be the same. It'll be the same thing. It might be a little smaller. The controller has a little bit of a texture difference on it. So it's honestly, if you don't have a console yet, then you get this one. But if you have a new, I have an Xbox One, and I don't think I'm going to get it. Charlie, you have an Xbox One, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to wait till Scorpio, probably.
Right, because...
Or at that point, just get a gaming computer or something, I don't know. Or both, I don't know.
Ooh, speaking of gaming computers, since we're on the subject of games, did you hear that Telltale's Batman Episode 1 had the same type of computer problems that Arkham Knight had?
No. Did it?
Yeah.
Really?
I just got home,
you
I'm
could
ready to
not
download it.
play it on the slowest setting, and it was glitchy and jumpy, and PC gamers complained about it. They're saying if you
Interesting.
must play it right now, do it on PlayStation or Xbox.
Interesting.
It's crazy because those games don't even have that much heavy usage in like graphics and stuff, right?
No.
Or their engines can't be that advanced.
No, I believe they're using the same engine that they use for all their games.
It is.
So it's not the combat's different, but I haven't seen that. So it's still something new.
I haven't seen any examples, but these were some news stories that were coming out on August 2nd when it got released, because I was looking into buying it myself, and they were saying not everyone, like 1/3 of the reviews were negative reviews for it. And it was all based on gameplay.
See, that's just... I guess that gives a point to giving a review, but if you're going to give I think there should be like a separate column for reviews, like giving a game a 1 out of 5, and then you look at the review and it just said, didn't work on my computer. That's not a testament to the It is a testament to the quality of the game, but not the game experience. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but if I'm going to go... But that stopped me from downloading the game, and I'm happy with that, because
Yeah.
I don't want to spend money on a game just yet that I'm not so sure if I'm going to be able to play or not.
Yeah, that's fair. Then I just wish
I
there
feel
was
like
some
that's
kind
okay
of
to review.
secondary, did this game was it unable to run?
We'll get to critics in a second when we talk
Yeah,
about...
I'm pretty sure the Master
Suicide
Chief
Squad.
Collection still isn't a fully functioning game.
Well, right, they don't work on that at all. They haven't touched that in 8 years, I think.
We'll get to critics in a second, but when I hear review and it's for a product I'm buying off the internet, that to me it is worth putting in the review.
It fits that. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
Some Star Wars Rogue One news.
Yes.
Jimmy Smits, I believe is his name.
Jimmy Smits, yes.
The Jimmy Smits, Bale Antilles.
What? Bailey Antilles?
Isn't it? He's
Organa?
Oh, he's Organa, right?
That's
Never mind.
Wedge Antilles.
Bale Organa. Sorry.
There you go.
Classic.
I had the first name right.
Leia Antilles.
He-Man.
Hey,
No, keep going.
good for you for even recognizing that I said it wrong. I still would have kept going on. Has confirmed that he is in Star Wars Rogue One.
Yes.
So Sam wanted me to propose the question of which news do you care about more? The fact that he is in Rogue One or the fact that a trailer is being released this Friday for it?
Thursday, I believe.
Thursday?
Thursday,
Okay.
yeah, with the Olympics.
Oh, it's on the Olympics.
They advertised it on the Olympics, and I'm like, guess what's coming? Olympics. Mostly Star Wars, though. So,
Interesting.
what's more impressive, Garrett?
That the trailer's coming out.
Right on.
Just because we got one pretty recently, didn't we?
We had a teaser. It wasn't the full trailer, though.
I'm going with Jimmy Smits.
Me too, I think.
It's just, Joe and I sat down. We usually don't like to talk about this stuff beforehand, but Joe and I sat down to kind of talk about when I put this question up. And I think to me, it's just that I only know Jimmy Smits from basically being in the Star Wars universe for all of 5 minutes, and then also being a, like, kind of a pimp character on one season of Sons of Anarchy.
You know him at least
And
one
Dexter.
more than that. Yeah, I was going to
And
say.
Dexter. Okay, and Dexter,
He
too.
was the big bad in season
But it's
3
just,
of Dexter.
and his name is Jimmy Smits, and
He
it's
was
just, he seems like a joke.
He was the partner. He was the partner for the longest time on NYPD Blue. That was his claim to fame in the 90s. Like, he was.
Maybe that's part of it too, is that, like, oh, he was a big thing in the 90s on television. Cool.
See, I'm okay with it because it gives me another noticeable character in Star Wars Rogue One besides Vader. And it's a noticeable character that you can put in that fits into
That
this
makes
story.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
It's not, like I said earlier, not trying to cram a young Han Solo into it for no
Still
reason.
doesn't make any sense.
They're not doing that, though, they've said.
Right.
So, if you're
Greedo
scared about
clone.
that.
They say a lot of things.
True. Yeah, it's not trying to get a quick glimpse of, like, Luke on a planet or whatever. It's actually, I wouldn't even mind a quick glimpse of Leia, because why was she in charge of the plans to open up Episode 4?
Right.
I think that's a good question to propose.
Because she was an ambassador, wasn't she?
Right, but
Yeah.
why was it her ship that was in charge of the plans?
Dad probably gave it to her, because
I'm sure that's
yeah.
how he's going to tie into the movie, because they say it ends with.
He'll probably be saying, "Oh, I've given the plans to my daughter, and
Right,
she's
and it is-
headed out right now."
And it is his ship or whatever that we saw in Episode 3.
Sure.
So
No, you're right.
I like
Like,
that.
no, you're
You
right.
can
This
say-
is the best one. And the thing is like, he was great in Sons of Anarchy. He's great in Dexter, and he's a fine Bail Antilles. So I think it's my own personal prejudice against his name that bothers me, because just the name Jimmy Smits just seems like I should not be excited about that
Smitten
person.
for Smits. That's what you need to be.
Smitten for Smits.
No, you know where I got Bail Antilles from?
No.
It's in Episode 1. Bail Antilles from Alderaan. That is the name they mention with another person who's up for Chancellor when Palpatine gets announced. I'll put money on it.
Sam's looking it up.
You
right
can
now.
look at it.
Bail Antilles, a human male, good start, was a politician who rose through the ranks of the
Arkansas
Galactic
governor.
Alliance. Arkansas governor. No, that's legitimate.
I think that name is mentioned in Episode 1, so I'm not
Bravo.
crazy when I said that.
Although Wedge Antilles is still right.
Yes, no,
Yeah,
you're right
yeah.
there too.
Yeah. Bale's just a John name in the Star Wars universe, I guess.
Pretty much, it's basically John Smith is what that guy's named.
He's level-headed individual, carefully considers his options, and he has often provided the swing vote between his fellow triumvirs Guile Gahan and New Torina. So, Joe,
Bravo.
deeper than we've ever been with your
By
Star Wars,
complete
your
accident.
accidental Star Wars knowledge.
Because if it's in the movies, it's up here. If it's not, it's nowhere to be found in my brain.
Yeah, man.
Why, laddie, just strap on your kilt and listen to Three Wise Radio.
Suicide Squad has hit theaters this week to $135 million domestically in the U.S.
Failure.
Becoming the biggest August opening of all time by
The
about
biggest failure.
by about 40 million. So
Yeah, beat out, what, Guardians?
Guardians, which set the record 2 years ago at 94. So
We talked about this before. This doesn't mean anything.
It's at 267 million now.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next movie that they come out in August will probably beat this one.
Yeah.
And it'll
Probably
just
Guardians too.
Probably.
Probably.
It used to mean something.
Right, but now when we're getting cycles of just like a movie every month, essentially from these two big companies, like it's just gonna keep bouncing off of each other. I feel like
It'll mean something again when it's not a comic book movie that breaks one of these records
Right,
again.
yeah.
Like when Fast and Furious 7 did it.
Then it
People were
means
like,
something.
What? Or especially if it's a non-franchise movie that does it,
Yeah.
it'll mean something
Yeah.
again.
True.
I'll get to, but we're going to do a spoiler-free version here for a little bit.
Okay.
I heard that. We're going to do a spoiler-free version a little bit. And to make sure we keep it spoiler-free, I'm going to ask you questions about the movie as opposed to going through being like, well, then
What
there's that.
happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, cast, character interpretations, mainly Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and Joker, because those are the three biggest ones that people knew about going into the movie. Also the three biggest names, one could argue. I'll even throw in Amanda Waller. That's Viola Davis' Amanda Waller.
Yes.
Sure.
So out of those four, let's talk portrayals, let's talk true to the comics.
Sure.
That type of stuff.
That's just to kick us off. It kind of stinks because this is my biggest pitch for this movie, and for the DCEU so far, is that they have not missed a beat in terms of casting these characters. I think that every single casting decision so far, including Suicide Squad, has been spot on. They all stuck really close to the comics. One in particular, kind of they took their own path, but I think that kind of gets into a little bit of spoilery stuff, not big time. So, but no, just blown away with everybody's performances. Even if they didn't have a lot to do, I still felt super into all these characters.
I was blown away by performances. I wasn't so much blown away by how the characters were written, if that makes sense. For example,
talk about
Deadshot, I feel like that was more written as just a stereotypical Will Smith role / black role, and it was just like, it was just Will Smith being Will Smith rather than him being Deadshot.
You think so?
There's one point where he's just like talking to Amanda Waller, and it's like after she, does the thing, and it's like, that's gangsta. It's like, Deadshot wouldn't do that. That was more of a Will Smith thing than it was a Deadshot thing. Does that make sense?
It is.
I think that's a decision you make when you get Will Smith, though.
I know, but
you have to accept it's going to be a part of it.
It makes me wonder whether, because I feel like that was just it was more so written for Will Smith rather than it was written as a Deadshot role. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I guess I don't really have a preconceived notion in my mind of like a Deadshot, because I haven't read a ton of stuff with him in it.
He's a little more flexible.
He is a little more flexible, but they got the core of the character.
Yes,
his motivation
and I will agree with
that. He has a daughter.
Basically, and everything he does, his motivation is for his daughter, and he never kills kids, never kills women. So he's a hitman with a conscience. That is the core of the character.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. And while I agree with you, Garrett, 100%, I do feel like they did write it for Will Smith. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie
with Will Smith,
being Will Smith. Yeah, that I was not only okay with it, I wanted it.
Yeah. And I'll go a little more into my thought on a couple of those issues when we kind of get a little more spoilery. But
so that was Deadshot, Harley Quinn.
Margot owned it. Yeah, I mean she's the face of her now. For sure. She's the one that I wanted to talk about the most in spoilers, so I'll kind of save off for that. I know some people have some issues, probably Garrett, because he's such a stickler.
Wow.
No, it's fine. Everyone's open to an opinion.
My actual big complaint with Harley was the inconsistency of her accent.
Okay.
And I know Joe and I kind of talked about this, and that's kind of how her character is in the story, or in the comics now, but it just, to me, it didn't play very well. It could have played a lot stronger. They could have done that a lot better.
Especially in this day and age when we all live in the Taylor Kitsch scaredness of I'm just gonna do whatever accent. Yeah, whatever accent comes out of my mouth.
I mean, I'm also just that's a big thing for me with characters. If you're gonna play a character that has a distinct accent, you need to stick with it, because it's very noticeable when you don't stick with it. Looking at you, Jennifer Lawrence, in American Hustle. But
she was nominated for an Academy Award.
Jennifer Lawrence can crap on a stage, and she's going to be nominated for an Academy Award now.
2017.
She's so real, dude.
No,
she is.
Crapping on a stage
she's
would be
one
very
of us.
real.
She's the same character in every movie she's in.
Yeah, realest person on earth.
So real.
So is Jeff Goldblum, but he does it well.
He's
And
also
you know who that character is?
Jeff Goldblum.
Never won an Academy Award, though, sadly, either.
Sorely overlooked.
But I mean, aside from the accent and some of the script issues that Joe and I kind of talked about, and we'll talk about whenever we get to spoiler stuff, I feel like Harley was probably one of the stronger characters of the movie, for sure.
Charlie?
I pretty much agree on all that. It's hard to I don't
delve
know
into
some
character.
of the things without going into spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, the characters were definitely the best part of it. I thought.
And that's,
I wish I
think
could
that
have
was the
more time
point.
with certain characters, but I mean, you
I
can't like unless the movie's gonna be like 3 hours long, I guess.
I thought that the movie nailed Harley, nailed Deadshot, nailed Adam Waller, because I hated this woman,
Adam Waller?
Amanda Waller.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh yeah,
Waller.
she
It's
was
Amanda
killer in it.
Antilles.
Yes. I'm allowed to slip up.
Sure. Sure. You know how this goes.
Yes. I loved Amanda Waller. I think they nailed him because I hated her by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hated her by the moment she was introduced. And it's a character you're supposed to hate. And I don't think a lot of people realize that
Yeah.
when they're watching the movie. They were like,
I think there's a moment when you're like, okay, I've made up my mind about
right,
her.
but some of the critics, that was part of their complaint. It's like, why are we supposed to be hating the leader of this?
You are supposed to hate her.
I
You don't
know,
like
no,
any of these people.
I get
But
that.
dude, didn't you know every character in every movie is supposed to be a role model, so they're not
Right.
supposed to do bad stuff.
That being said, there wasn't a character on the squad who I didn't think captured the character from the comics exactly the way they were supposed to be captured.
I would argue against that with Killer Croc.
No, see, I thought Killer Croc was perfect.
Old school Waylon Jones enforcer.
Yeah.
I mean,
With
like,
the-
I
with the skin
understand, like, the
condition.
brutish enforcer, but, like, the way that the character was written as just, like, the token black guy, like, whenever...
Was it okay? So would you rather, because he's played by a black man?
I
So would
understand.
you rather him be written as the white Southerner? I hit Batman with a rock. I mean, that is how he's played. He's played as a dumb simpleton. So where was the path that the writer and actor should take? Because to me, from the actor, I got a very visceral, street level gangster who, since he's played by a black man, why not make him do what that type of person would do?
I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of getting into
Now
like,
someone did point out at the very end he apparently asks for BET.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought he asked for a big screen, so that's on me.
No.
No, that's
That one I'll give you.
And
One I'll give you. But other than that,
And I think this, and
I don't see
combined
it.
with what I was talking about earlier with Will Smith, like, especially since Will Smith was just boycotting the Oscars, because they weren't doing a lot of...
no. Jada Pinkett Smith was boycotting the Oscars. Will Smith was
said nothing.
boycotting because his wife was
Fair point.
boycotting.
Regardless,
Let's be honest.
regardless, Will Smith was boycotting.
Okay.
The main reason they were doing that was because of the lack of diversity and the lack of, like, proper representation in people of color, and then this happened, these two roles, and it's
I think with Killer Croc, you see what you want to see. I really do. I don't think there was anything other than, I'll give you the BET thing. Other than that,
honestly,
there
I
was
guess that was really the big thing for me.
there is
That was-
nothing
And that
else
was
racist
just a
about
throwaway
that
joke,
character.
though. It wasn't like a big defining character moment or something.
No,
I
it
mean,
wasn't. It was just like you kind of felt like he was just kind of this like street level dude, but then
He's
in
an
the
enforcer. I mean,
yeah, he's an enforcer.
He's
He's
a
just
mob
muscle.
enforcer with
It
a
was
skin
just that
condition.
at the end, instead of putting like the cherry on top, he said like, I want BET, so they dumped like 20 pounds of cherries on the cupcake and crushed it.
Right.
Like that just left a bad taste in your mouth for
Yeah.
the end of that character. But before that, he's fine. He's just a dude that likes to wear velour jumpsuits.
I even like that they mentioned too that they're saying like he acts like an animal now because they treated him like one and they kept treating him worse and worse, and which just made him go
That's
kind of
Croc.
turn more
exactly.
That's
beast
Croc.
mode.
And his prosthetics looked awesome.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking to one of my friends about this, but like, if we do see Croc in the future, I would love to see the
Him.
evolution of his mutation.
Not only would I love to see the evolution of mutation, I've never more wanted to see a Batman Croc fight.
Yeah.
Because this is a Croc and a Batman that could go toe to toe and slug it out.
As long
Like
as
in
we
the
get to
animated
see
series.
Killer Croc drop down onto all fours and shimmy into a flooded subway,
Oh, that was great.
because that was impressive.
That looked very reptilian.
Yes,
that was good.
actor did a great job of doing that thing he was told to do. Doesn't mean it was a good thing to do.
True.
A dive would have also been fine.
Why wasn't it a good thing? He is
Because
a reptile.
but he's also a human.
But we just talked about how they've he's being beaten into this feral
I
state.
totally get that. But then why isn't he shimmying around all the time?
He's got a point there.
But I think that's not the most efficient way to move on.
You're nitpicking and splitting hairs on
Oh,
that
no,
because
for
you
sure.
want to.
You mean you don't
when I
wanna
saw
see-
it, I laughed.
You don't want to see Arkham Knight Croc, where he's just like
No, I never
fat
would
and
want to
pudgy,
see.
like
Oh, I was talking about like just monstrous, where he's almost like.
No, I like the idea of it continually deforming. So if he got like some sharper parts of him that he could use as like a physical weapon, that'd be fine. But I don't want to see him as a 10-foot tall, whatever
he
he
was.
is. Yeah, that thing.
Mini
Okay.
Godzilla.
Yeah, mini Godzilla.
All right, use of music, and then we'll talk. Then we'll ask whether or not you think people should see it, and then we'll get into spoilers.
Okay.
So use of music. A lot of people said that was all over the place.
I loved the soundtrack, so I was into it whenever I heard the music. But I could see how it would be a little bit jarring if you weren't totally down with the soundtrack.
I liked the soundtrack, but I felt like it was too prominent at some points.
I agree with Garrett. I really liked all the new stuff that they put in there, though. Like the new songs from the actual album, the songs that were made for the movie. Some of the ones that were pre-existing songs that they put in were kind of disorienting. Like when the Eminem's song they put in, Joe brought it up to me after we saw it. It's like that really kind of was just so abrupt.
And it's funny you say that because I listened to a podcast about by the New Yorker or whatever. And there's a spoiler-free podcast, and they complained about the music, but they said they thought that one fit. It's just funny hearing different aspects from different people. I will say this. Apparently, I should never direct a major motion picture because what David Ayer did with that group of music and that randomization, I would totally do. Finally, for the first time. No, I know it's not cheap. But to me, that is a bigger part of them because that's everyday life. That you're listening to your iPod, you're not hearing a 1,000-piece orchestra playing something as you're walking down the street going into something. You're listening to Eminem. You're listening to Grimes. You're listening to Panic at the Disco. And
some of the pre-existing music worked, I thought. Just there were a couple of the most of them I thought I could have done without. I guess I wasn't like,
or at least a little toned down.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much that I could have done without it, but I just feel like it was probably a thing on the sound editing team, but it was just like very like in your face, and it's like this song doesn't need to be in my face.
But that's the
right
thing
now.
is I'm sure that's exactly what Ayer wanted whenever he walked in. He's like, boom it, bump
Could be.
it.
Well, wasn't to my taste.
And that's fine. Should people go see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say wait till DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say people should go see it. I liked it a lot. And on that note,
Get out of my house.
we'll get into spoilers.
Let's see. I've been working on my diction, so let's give this a shot. Three Wise Radio.
All right, so from here on out, spoilers, and I will be the first to admit it's not a perfect movie. There is
No one is saying that.
Definitely
no,
not.
I know. There is. I have one major problem with the movie itself that I would say kept me from loving this movie. I like it. I really want to see it again. But if they would have fixed this one problem, and it may have been some of the stuff they edited it out,
Sure.
I would have loved it. And to me, that's the scenes between Joker's chopper going down and the bar scene where they kind of try to come together as a family. Mm-hmm. That entire time between then felt rushed and felt jumbled.
They needed to start the final act, and they had to.
They tried to push
quick.
the family aspect of this team. One, we don't have the abusive Joker-Harley relationship in this movie in the final cut, which is fine.
Right.
I'm actually okay to see a Joker that truly loves Harley Quinn because we've never seen that before.
Right. And
that would be an interesting take on the characters.
Right, and also it's done. We'll talk about it a little more. Keep going.
And that would be an interesting take on the characters. And I feel like that relationship was done right. And there's a certain scene which I thought was the most realistic comic book scene I've ever seen in a movie with that relationship very early on. And when we talk about the relationship, I'll get to it.
Okay.
But there is no reason for Harley to come back to the Suicide Squad. Normally it's Joker rejects her and she's like, well, at least these people cared if I lived or died.
Yeah.
There was none of that. So There was no reason for her to run back to the Suicide Squad.
Well, I would say that the only reason that there was is that in her mind, what she saw Joker at that point, that his vehicle went down, Joker died, so she had nothing. There was an empty hole in her heart, and these are the only people she probably knows.
Yeah, that's
So
that
that's who it
standpoint,
goes. It's
sure.
like, what else am I going to do? He was my everything.
Sure. Okay. From that standpoint, sure.
And didn't she say too? She's like, I don't have anything else better to do.
A little bit, yeah. But like I said, it
didn't play right.
Yeah, I needed a little bit
It was a little
more,
rushed.
Yeah,
And good.
and the family aspect. They threw around the word family too much at the end, and I'm like, that doesn't work for any of you. You should all be hating the fact that you're still having to do this, and should not be.
Let's gear up for the next mission.
The stuff at the beginning made more sense. Like, they're working together when all of a sudden they have to keep Flag alive because if he dies, they die. That made sense when the teamwork came out. But at the end, the teamwork came out because we're a family. That
It wasn't earned yet.
Yeah, it's never earned in the entire film, and I don't like that. Now, that being said, I had no problem with the way the final act developed. I had no problem with the way the final fight developed. 2 squad members die in this movie, and I called it before I saw the movie which 2 are going to die, and I said how they were going to die.
And you were right.
Yes.
Spot on. Well, the Slipknot one's an
Guaranteed.
unimpressive decision.
Okay, I was slightly wrong with Diablo. I said Diablo was going to die in the second one, but he would be the next person to die in the squad in the second one because he'd be an emotional death of someone in a character we got to know. And he was.
Well, and I think the family aspect, it was a
characters in the movie, I thought.
Oh, Jay Hernandez killed it. We should have mentioned that in the spoiler-free part, but
yeah, he was awesome.
He was great.
I think these characters, again, it's the same. It's the same stuff with a little-known movie that we reviewed before called Batman vs Superman, where they I guess I just inferred things about these characters that I guess wasn't on screen. And when I think about it, there wasn't that much. But you have, maybe they shouldn't have done it so much as like family, but it should have been like that band of brothers. Like, everybody in this outside universe has been fucking with us. Let's fuck with them together, because you have Killer Croc, who these are the only people currently that don't shit on him all the time. You have Harley, who just lost the love of her life. You have Deadshot, who in this one is even more so than usual pushed to be a family man. You have El Diablo, who has a dark past, and he's seeing all of these terrible people too, and it helps him to open up and actually talk about his issues. You have Katana, who we know her story a little bit better than the screen portrays. So you have all these characters that have a vulnerability.
Yeah.
Even if that's not properly depicted in the movie, for a DC fan, you know that's there, and so it plays a little bit better there. But I do see what you're saying, like there's a bar there. We've all had a drink. Let's be buddies. Let's be family.
Well, I do like that with Boomerang, though. As soon as he crushes the phone, he's like, "You guys are free to go." He just immediately bails.
But then he comes back because
yeah. But I thought that scene was still
sure, of course. So yeah, they just, again, little tweaks I think would have made that better. But I think another thing that's a problem with, and what this movie's biggest problem with, was also pacing and editing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
See, everyone says that. I don't see a problem with the editing. The editing to me was no less jarring.
Well, editing's probably not the best
than Captain America: Civil War or Batman vs Superman. The editing was not jarring to me at all.
I think it's editing in what they chose.
To keep in and take out?
If
that's the case, I would agree.
Yes. And my biggest issue right now is what this kind of all sums up to be is, again, I feel like, and hopefully they fix this, because in the future, like, we've got some really interesting directors.
I don't think they will, because they're overanalyzing and trying too hard.
Right. That's the problem. You start this, the biggest thing is you start this company, you start this kind of project where it's director fueled, it's vision fueled, they do what they want when they want. But then it's worse to do what they're doing now, which is give them free reign, but then when they're done, then you step in and like, whoa, but we need it to be like that, instead of just stepping in right at the start and saying, here's your guidelines. Right. Because then you have to cultivate a mainstream movie with something that's not meant to be that, so you can tell. I could tell. When I left the theater with Charlie, it was right away. David Ayers, I know he towed the company line and saying, like, no, this is my cut, like, I approve of this. There's a better movie here. Oh, yeah. And I'm hoping I see it when the DVD comes out.
And I mean, and let's start with it. A lot of apparently what was cut was the Joker material.
Yeah, a lot of
and there's clearly scenes in the trailer like where his face is half blown off.
That's post post explosion,
Yeah.
post crash,
Post crash
thinking.
Yeah, and because he's in the suit still, and that's nowhere to be seen. He just disappears until the end.
There's lots of trailer scenes that aren't in there.
They cut out, and this can segue us to the Harley Joker dynamic. They cut out a good chunk of the scenes that depict the abusive relationship.
Yes.
Apparently, they could have shown this in a completely different way that made the abusive relationship, and they twisted it so that it was this. What do we think about that, Garrett?
While I agree with Joe's earlier statement of like, you know, it's a fun way to, or not fun, but like it's a nice way to like see a new take on the characters. I feel like that's a vital part of their characters.
Oh, I would agree.
And I feel like trying to depict it without that is wrong.
Although I think you still get some of it. You definitely get that it's still abusive because, I mean, he offers her up at one point and then he still has her jump into some acid and stuff. So it's definitely not healthy. But
I'm sorry, but like that, you brought that up, and that was the scene I was going to talk about.
So awesome.
The scene with Common where he offers her up to Common, I wouldn't even say that could be interpreted as abusive. That is the most realistic. I could believe that happening in real life.
Oh, absolutely.
And not even in a comic book. You have two people who are in power and psychotic, and in their mind, they were never really offering it up, and there was no win for this man.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And it was just, they were both messing with him in a way. I can see that not being abusive. I could actually see that playing into the more of, we are together in this.
Yeah.
Because she was never really in for it. She was always just kind of messing with him.
Yeah.
And that scene scared me. It's the first time in any movie I've actually seen the Joker on screen and been scared of him, because I've seen people, not to that extent where they kill someone, but a couple turn on a person like that and just mess with this person's life. And I'm like, oh God,
This guy's screwed.
Yeah, that's real. That literally scared me.
What I was going to say is what I mentioned earlier about how sometimes studios will think like, oh, each person in this needs to be a role model somewhat. It's like, well, I hope that WB didn't think like, oh, those people got butthurt over the X-Men Apocalypse poster where he's choking Jennifer Lawrence. That's showing like, you know, abusive women. We can't have that. It's like, well, that's what happens in a movie, though. I mean,
you're right.
It's okay to have Joker completely be terrible to her because it's not promoting that as healthy.
Because once she
it's
finally,
part of showing how fucking crazy he is.
You're absolutely right. Because once she breaks
And
that
her.
connection, yeah. Well, once she breaks that connection, that's what makes her a powerful, independent role model. Because
Exactly.
so many women get stuck, and there's men that do it too, get stuck in these abusive relationships where they just keep coming back and keep coming back. But to see someone finally put their foot down and say, no, enough's enough, I'm my own person, that's what makes them powerful. And if you would have been patient and taken that journey over 2, maybe 3 movies, that's a really huge, powerful arc. And
I
that's,
think you still might.
you still might.
Can, because she fell right back into his arms.
No, you're absolutely right. You still can. And to me, that's how you set up the sequel. You set it up as like the whole 6-issue arc in Suicide Squad New 52 where Harley was on the run and they were trying to capture
And she was
her.
trying to find Joker.
Yeah. I think that you could still do that. But to do that, you have to show the character in the dark place for them to come out and be redeemed. No one starts off as a role model. Superman, and it's sad because they didn't even do this right, though, with Man of Steel. Superman's the only comic book character that's ever born and it's like, boom, you are good.
Hero.
You are role model.
Yeah.
Everyone else has to earn it, and that's life. You're never... Very few people are given things in life. You have to earn. Life is hard. Life sucks, and it's not roses, and most people aren't role models. There's a great quote, and it's from Marvel, an Ultimate Spider-Man I just read. It said, I've never met a man with money who didn't step on someone to get it. And for someone to get power and to get respect, you have to see their journey and how they got there, because if they take the high road, that's what makes them the role model.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry, I didn't mean...
No, you're fine. I'm just trying to
Jeff.
think of which spot to analyze. No, I agree with everything you said. I think that, again, it's just a testament to this casting that we have a Batman that kills people. Like, that's a thing. That's a thing, and it's okay. We have a Harley Quinn and a Joker dynamic that's different from what we normally see, and it's okay. Not to mention, the dynamic's still a little messed up because when you see she falls into the tank, in my mind, what I saw from that scene, when Jared Leto was walking away, Joker wasn't going to go after her. And then he paused and was like, fuck, I do care about this person, and then jumped in furious at himself that he was.
Yes.
And that was him also taking the leap of like, all right, this is happening. So that was very symbolic to me of like, this is what this relationship is actually going to be now. I thought Leto was so good once you accept what this is.
I just want to see more.
Yeah,
I hope he doesn't get too discouraged by the stuff that was cut.
I don't think he will, because that dude's going to do what he wants to do.
I mean, he's already said that, like, I would love to just do like another 3 or 4 movies of Joker and then just retire.
He said he wants to use that money to.
I've preached repeatedly on this cast about how I'm tired of the Batman versus Joker.
Now you want it.
I only want the Affleck Leto face off. Other than that, I don't care about another Batman versus Joker story in the comics. I don't care about an animated movie. Give me Affleck versus Leto, because that I want to see that dynamic.
And Harley too.
And Harley, yes, but that's an added thing to the stuff that we've never seen in a live action. Now the trifecta is complete. It's there. Like when they crash the car into the river and then Harley plays possum for a second, I'm like, that's perfect. Joker left to save his own skin. Harley's in there and you think she might be unconscious or dead. Batman goes to try and save her and nope, I'm still trying to kill. Like, Batch, you're ruining date night? Like, that was great. Yeah. Her entire backstory, flashback stuff might be the best stuff of a really good movie to me.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. It was just so impressive, and a lot of people were upset that you didn't get to see more Joker. I thought you saw exactly what you needed to see from Joker.
I want to see more.
You want to see more, obviously, but that's a showing of good thing. I wanted Batman to be in this movie more, but he shouldn't have been.
Agreed.
So, like, he did such a good job of Joker of just showing up and being like, hey, by the way, I'm the Joker. And he, more so, I have to see him in something else to say who the best is.
He's the one character you can Jason Statham, like in Fast 7, where he just shows up.
Yeah, because he's the Joker. He is, and like you were talking about in that scene, I was scared in that scene because it's the first time where I've watched a Joker and not kind of felt like I knew what he was going to do. Heath Ledger did a great job as Joker. Great job. But I didn't find him unpredictable. This Joker, when Harley sat down on that seat, I was like, is Joker going to be in? Is he going to let this happen? Is Harley Quinn going to bite Common's nose ring off? Is Jared Leto just going to shoot him? Like, he was all over the place, and I had no idea what he was going to do.
And that's what Joker should be.
Chaos.
Yes.
It's just like, I'm gonna hop on this guy's lap and sit on him, and then I'm gonna kill him, and then I'm gonna it's so sporadic, and the way that he came in and just kind of fucked stuff up, even though he wasn't intentionally trying to do any of that.
I think sporadic's a great word for that.
Yeah,
that's what it was. But some people say that that's like it was too jarring, and that him showing up at awkward times didn't fit. It felt choppy. It's like that's the Joker.
Yes,
he doesn't have long hair. And he's not the key villain. You have to accept it.
No, in any major Batman arc, Joker's just there.
Not in his arcs. Not in Joker's arcs.
Give me a long Joker arc.
From the Snyder run, I can give you 4 of them.
Wow. Okay. True.
Which is kind of a lot of what this one's coming from.
True. Mm-hmm. But I was going to say, a lot of your old Batman stuff, Nightfall, Hush, I can't think of it. Grant Morrison run. Yeah. Joker just pops up, and he's a vague thing, but he's not the overarching villain.
Right.
He's never the overarching villain.
One of the scenes, I think, what you guys are saying was the club scene for you, where I saw him and I was just like, this dude is fucking crazy. Is when he's in the back of the Chinook and he's just firing that gold AK and he's just doing it, and then he just stops and he's just laughing he himself is thinking oh, this is so crazy.
Oh yeah,
and he wasn't even firing it at anybody. It was all over the place. Just
yeah, he hasn't done enough to take the mantle of best Joker, but if we get one solid movie with him, I think he takes it.
I would agree.
Easily. The rest of the people, there's not a lot to talk about. Jai Courtney didn't have a lot to do.
No,
He
but
was
he
funny.
served his
Killed it
purpose.
with what he did.
Captain Boomerang is comic relief.
Yeah.
He's a ridiculous, stupid
The
villain
only
who
issue that I
throws
have,
boomerangs.
you could call him Captain McStabby, because he doesn't throw boomerangs a lot. He usually just stabs people with them, like they're knives.
Hey, he had a camera boomerang, an explosive boomerang, and a normal boomerang he threw at some point in the
Trick
movie.
shots.
So
No,
how much
that's
more?
fine. That's fine. But also, half the boomerangs he threw did not come back to him.
Yes, almost. I don't know.
Almost all
explosive
of
ones
them.
don't.
Only one, I think, came
Well,
back.
yes,
to him.
okay.
I think
You're
it was
right.
the one with katana scene.
You know what? Charlie's right. The point of a boomerang is that you
And
hit
the
the
camera
target
one
and it
got
doesn't come
destroyed.
back. He's right. So
It's busted.
Katana was awesome. Not in it a lot, but when she was talking to her sword with the souls in it, like, that was so cool. Again, just a good job of, like, these people are all fucked up, and yes, they're a team, but also, like, everyone's still super involved in their own shit. Like, she's sitting there while everybody's getting ready to go possibly die, and she's huddled in a corner, crying, talking to her sword in Japanese. So no one knows what she's doing, except Rick Flag. But, like, I thought that was a really great moment, even though she didn't get a lot of it.
Agreed. I thought that Rick and Enchantress were probably the weakest characters in this.
I would agree with that.
Rick Flags, though, that's him. Like, he's not.
I mean, like, he's
He's
not
not,
that,
but-
like, great of a character, but, like, I felt like there's just, like,
They could have
very
picked a better villain than
crappy.
Enchantress. That has been some of the complaints. I will give them that. Because, well, what's her name? Carla Delving, thank you. Carla Delving, I think she did fine with what she had. It's just... I just don't know. I don't know what I would have done. That's the sad thing. But I do think some of the fault lies in the fact of that you tried to make it, instead of just a villain we could go after and have fun with, we tried to humanize her a bit and give her a story and everything else.
Second half villain was not good. As soon as she transformed into more Kara looking, more human looking,
She got her
she just
heart
became
restored
like
or
a
whatever.
doom machine. But I thought the first half with her was awesome. The scene with her in the bunker with Amanda Waller was creepy, and
loved
she
it.
was
I
awesome.
loved it.
Yeah, no,
She does a
did
really
good
good job. Like that kind of creepy, like spidery kind of look is something that's super popular in horror movies
Very,
right now.
like, Ring-esque.
Finding a physical actor that can do a very spider-like, very grotesque kind of movement. And I thought she did a really good subtle job of that when she was morphing.
No, you're absolutely right.
But then, like, once she was more human, it was just like it looked like dancing, and it was very it was taking me out of the character. I was like, I can't.
She had garbage lines of like, tell me how to defeat your armies, and then I will take over the world. It's like, lady, you got a giant death machine. Just do that. She said that twice. Is like, as soon as I figure out how to defeat your armies. What?
You don't even need to.
So that was a little soft. But again, that's a fuck, because it sounds like we're bashing on Marvel villains all the time, but that's a Marvel villain. Like,
no, it is. Well,
Whiplash.
Let me tell you, okay, here's the thing. Let me tell you what would have happened. If this was a Marvel movie, the villain would have been after a mother box instead. The squad would have been after a mother box, and Amanda would have wound up with a mother box at the end, trying to figure out what it was, and you wouldn't have known that the mother box was what they were after until the mid credits. Sure. If this was a Marvel movie, that's how this would have played out.
I feel like this movie kind of suffered with the same thing that Apocalypse did, whereas like I didn't feel the threat going on here.
And now it's time for your sort of Olympic news update.
America's slipping in the medal race.
They usually do early on.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Try not to get Zika or drink the water.
Hard to do.
But isn't that what?
Not,
because
not
the
if you
water
don't
is
go-
literally
no,
coming
it's
out
still
of
happening
everywhere
here a
in the
little bit, but not
hotels.
nearly as much.
But isn't that what you? I mean,
That's the
would
thing.
consider
There's
that winning.
scarier things than Zika out there.
Yes.
Tons. Almost everything out there is scarier than Zika. Zika's
I mean,
kind of
if
like
you're
a meh.
If you're super concerned, you could go freeze your DNA right now, and then it doesn't matter.
What's Zika?
What's Zika?
I don't know what this is.
it's
never heard
like I think you get it from mosquitoes and bugs, correct?
And banging.
Any like blood
originally, like it's not like just people banged it into existence. I
Right.
mean,
The biggest side effect of it is if you're a woman and you have the
Sorry. I'm just thinking, we had so much sex, we created a disease.
Disease. It was banged into existence.
Wasn't that a big thing with
eons ago?
But the biggest thing with Zika is that it's hard to detect, and if you're a woman that has it while pregnant, your baby can have a little head, a little tiny
cone
head.
Like a cone head or like a shrunken head?
No,
So
like
really,
a
like,
cone head.
not your problem,
Yes, to both of those, kind of.
but definitely the baby's problem. You just gotta get one of those helmets.
Every time Hope Solo kicks the ball away from the
That
goal,
is
the
hilarious.
crowd goes, Zika! Unified.
Seriously?
10,000
Oh yeah, because
people.
she
It's
was
awesome.
she was on Twitter or Instagram taking pictures of her with like a gas mask on. And she's like, I'm only going to the hotel and I'm only going to the field. I'm not getting sick. It is audible. Zika.
It was planned.
Anyone love how
It
that
sounds
domestic
like.
violence stuff? I'm not even going to put this all in the cast, but anyone love how that domestic violence stuff with her just went away?
Yeah, because she's a woman.
Yeah.
No one cares. Yeah, me too.
I also have not heard about any of this. Like, what the
She beat
She
the
was
shit out of a
arrested.
14-year-old, I believe.
Her like 14-year-old or 15-year-old nephew and her husband.
Yeah.
She like beat up.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Hope Solo.
Hope Solo, the U.S. women's goaltender.
She's an attractive woman.
She's a very attractive woman, but the thing
Garrett,
is,
do you know what the Olympics are?
I do, but like, I don't follow sports, man.
No, that's fair. But it was like one of the biggest stories because like she is, other than like Abby Wambach or Mia Hamm, like she's been around U.S. soccer the longest. Like she just played, I think she's the first U.S. woman ever to play 200 plus games now.
If all this
Her
hadn't
and like
happened,
Alex Morgan are definitely the face of
she
Yeah.
women's soccer.
I think
Okay.
the best part.
And like she is like not a role model for girls.
No, not anymore.
Never really. Like when they won in like, I don't know if it was 2012 or 2008 or whatever, it like they went to the Today Show the next day and they're all completely shit-faced.
Oh, for sure.
I
Like
can't blame him for that, though.
no, but they're just like falling over like, hey, we're here. And I was like, oh my God. And like, not only in their mannerisms, but all of them have the look of just that like glowing sweat, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When the red glowing sweat when you can tell someone's really drunk.
We woke up and we're still drunk.
Yeah, they all have. All of them.
Dude, Garrett, you're missing out, man. The water, any of the open water sports, the official Olympic committee said do not consume more than 3 teaspoons or you will get infected.
That's a sip. Fuck. That's a sip,
And
bro.
what were we talking about earlier? A dude's canoe flipped.
Yeah, his kayak capsized.
Kayak flipped, and he went in the water.
Suspected
And why
that
did it
that there
capsize?
was suspected that a sofa had been thrown into the water. And dude, it's a
I
shit
do
show.
need to be watching the Olympics. Like, I started watching it yesterday when we were at this brunch place, and it was like handball.
Oh yeah, Team
yeah, it's
Handball's
cool.
Yeah.
awesome.
I didn't know that was a fucking
Dude,
sport.
everything's an Olympic sport.
It's all awesome.
Team Handball's like the curling of the Summer Olympics. Once you get watching, you're like, I'm in.
Dude, distance
Yeah.
walking is an Olympic sport.
Air rifle shooting, not even real guns.
Hey, but we got
Jesus.
that gold medal.
Hell yeah.
The most telling part of what the Olympics are for this year is that we have discussed Zika and Hope Solo beating her husband, to which you don't know either of those things, and Charlie assumes you don't even know what the Olympics are. Those are the highlights.
All right.
that and apparently everyone just doing commercials all the time. Kick ass, man.
But apparently, did you see they said, now granted they could be lying, they said that they played the same rate that they did during the last Olympics, but that since Netflix and stuff has gotten so big that we're not as used to seeing those commercials. We're used to like none or very few, so then seeing this same rate, it's like these commercials are all the freaking time.
Yeah,
It's like, no, this is the same amount, but
I believe that.
Maybe it just means
but
we're finally
they could also
woke.
easily be lying too.
Yeah, well, it also doesn't mean that it's still not shitty.
True.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I can believe that. I can believe that the commercials are played the same amount as they have been in past years.
What is it? There's some branch of I'm probably just pulling stuff out of my butt, but there's some group of people in Canada that are like, this is too corporate, and not just like a small group, but like a large group. Like we're talking a couple million people. They're like, we're not watching it. They're just completely abstained from it.
Oh, Canada's not watching the Olympics?
They're in the Olympics. I'm just saying.
Barely.
If there's a news story that's like people are big enough that said the Olympics are too corporate, like that's
The Olympics are too corporate, eh?
yeah. And they're very reserved. They don't complain about anything.
Somebody periscoping the whole thing.
Who's
you just probably watch different. No, I'm saying anybody in the crowd. I'm sure you could just hop from stream to stream at all the different events.
Yeah.
And watch it via somebody's phone or whatever.
That's almost the way.
I'm just ready for Qatar, baby.
How has that not been solved?
It's going to be worse.
All right,
I got to tell Garrett one more thing.
Yes.
Just because you don't know all the hot stories, and these are all really juicy and really things that I hope happen. At the sand volleyball course, like 2 weeks, the exact beach where they're playing, 2 weeks before the beginning, a dead body washed up on shore. So maybe that'll happen live.
That's what everybody's hoping for, except Matt Lauer.
I'm about
What's that dude? What's that dude laying there? Oh God.
All right.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, where we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest?
What's piquing my interest, and we were kind of talking about it earlier with how like broken Rotten Tomatoes is, but apparently fans have been, or not, I shouldn't say fans, but like people that use
Crazies?
People that use Rotten Tomatoes are actually petitioning to shut down Rotten Tomatoes and start from scratch just because of how broken their system is. And to me, I think that's a very interesting thing.
I would agree 100%.
And then I'm interested to see how that plays out and how that affects movies going forward, because like with Batman vs Superman, with Suicide Squad, you're so like people are so worried about like, oh, what score did Rotten Tomatoes give it, sort of thing.
But they don't look at individual critics. They're looking at a pool of critics.
Right, but that's
to get. But see, to me, that shows you that the critic is obsolete in today's world.
It's a yes or no.
Yes. Is this movie good? Yes or no? Tell me now. Don't tell me what you thought about it. It used to be a critic had elite access to a very select thing before everyone else, and they had a following. People today don't know who the critic is for the Chicago Sun-Times. They don't know who the critic is for certain newspapers, certain websites, certain TV shows, so they don't follow them. They don't know their taste, whether or not they normally like it or normally dislike. The critic may have a bad taste in movies, according at least to what you like.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're not looking at that. You're looking at things overall as a whole, and no one really pays attention to a critic day in and day out. Now, there are people I listen to, but I listen to see what they thought of the movie, and most of the time, it'll be like how most people listen to this cast. It'll be after they see it, because they want to hear what other people thought too. Mm-hmm. That is the new version of a critic. It's a review that other people can talk about with other people and enjoy. It has nothing to do with telling me if something's good or bad or not anymore, because there's many different avenues I can find out for myself. And I think within the next 10 years, we'll see the critics kind of go away.
I would hope so.
I think what we know as a critic today will not be a critic in 10 years. There will no longer be a Richard Robert. There will not be another Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
Critics will go kind of the way of the dodo.
I think Facebook's the biggest critic now. At this, which I think more it's people that want to see the movie and people that are your friends kind of dictate it. That petition's not going to go anywhere.
No, but
just because it's, I mean, in idea, the site is totally fine. It's an aggregate. It accumulates reviews and puts it into a format.
The biggest problem is that a movie could have a ton of like 60%, like 3 out of 5s, and then if it's all 3 out of 5s, then it would still be 100%. It could be 100% fresh movie, whereas then a movie with a ton of 5 out of 5s and then like a couple 1 out of 5s would then be lower percentage then.
Yeah. It's not a perfect system, but it can be a good judge. We also just live in this very specific bubble. Like, it accurately depicts 9 Lives as a 4%. Which I did not get to go see today, sadly.
4%?
4% right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
And they talked about it on the radio show I listen to, that when they do their movie previews, they go, and the critics didn't even bother to review this one. Wow. By the time they were looking at it, they still weren't up.
Yeah, so.
Wow. Damn.
Listen, I don't think that's a good movie, but I doubt it's a 4%.
Who knows?
Sam, what's piquing your interest?
Piqued my interest right back onto critics. Not particularly. I still really want to see Star Trek. And I haven't gotten to see it yet, so
me too.
If some of you guys want to see it sometime this week, because it actually is getting really good reviews from critics and from just people that I've been talking to. It feels like it just feels like an episode of Star Trek, and that's really cool. So it's, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I think it's something that we haven't given a lot of
speaking of the good, bad Bad Good.
Oh yeah, they did a review.
We should really learn the exact phrasing of his show.
Joe, I have to learn the exact phrasing of
Our own show. Yeah, you do.
Three Wise.
Charlie, what's piquing your interest?
I guess the potential for huge PR disasters at the Rio Olympics.
Potential.
I don't want a dead body to wash up on there because that would be messed up for like a lot of people to see. But something funnier than that, I guess, more family friendly to happen.
The thing is,
I don't know.
I think you
the
will
nets
need,
keep falling over or something.
You're going to need an event like that to trigger change with like the process of these Olympics.
Yeah.
Short.
I know people were trying to tackle the torchbearer like the entire time they were.
Were they
Run,
really?
oh, dude, people were
throwing
chucking
rocks at them and stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. No one cares about that. You literally need like a body to wash up during a point serve for something to be like, this cannot be ignored. This is beyond.
Jesus, that's fucked up.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Not only the
and
body
it should,
stuff, but like
it almost needs to happen, like Sam's saying, to then stop some of the bullshit that happens for the Olympics committee to pick all these certain countries and stuff.
FIFA
Just put that
learn
shit
a
back
thing
in Greece
or
and just
two
leave it there. It has a cool historical setting and everything, and then
There has been
their
movement
economy's
for that.
already screwed, so it's not going to make it worse.
I really like that idea actually.
to do it in Olympia
Yeah, why not?
because then it's home field advantage. No one cares.
This isn't like
Joe, what's piquing your interest?
I don't know if I can top that. I actually can't, so this is just going to be very sad.
Hey man, it's alright.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has finally casted their new director because they said there's a new director at the end of last season.
Oh, a
Very
director of
mysteriously.
S.H.I.E.L.D..
Yes.
Right. Were you thinking director as in
No.
person behind
Yeah, I
the
was
scenes,
thought it was
Charlie?
going to be Tommy
That's what I was
Wiseau.
thinking.
Yeah,
Tommy Wiseau
But
as the director of
I'd
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
watch that.
But ironically enough,
Yes.
it's Jason O'Mara, whose most recent claim to fame has been the new voice of Batman when Kevin Conroy's not voicing him in the animated movies.
Interesting.
I'm surprised they don't give it to
Little double dip
Maria
in there.
Hill. Is she too big for... She's not too big for TV now, is she?
I don't know. That's a good question.
She is in that Jack Ryan movie. I think she's trying to transcend. She also might be trying to branch out beyond Marvel, too.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Interesting. Okay.
who's going to be more compelling, him or Ghost Rider? Or Ghost Rider's handicapped brother?
Oh.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they're not doing Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I know that.
I think his brother's handicapped.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. See how it pairs because one likes to cruise really fast and the other one's. I think that's what it is.
I don't even have
Ironsides crossover confirmed.
There you go. I don't even have a segue to end the show with that, so let's just end it on that. Hey, if you want to contact us, there's many different ways you can do it. You can email us at threewiseradio@gmail.com. Contact us on Twitter at threewiseradio, hashtag threewiseradio, or find us on Instagram at threewiseradio. Charlie, thanks for taking some time out with us tonight.
Oh yeah, Sam was on our last podcast, so it was only fitting for me to go
What
on
podcast is that?
that. Movie Versus.
Sounds lame.
We're doing direct-to-DVD Nick Cage movies next. So.
Oh.
Do you know the movies?
Well, it's limited release.
Of course.
Direct-to-DVD. Let's see.
That's with a picture of him in a halfway jog on the front, right? In almost all of them.
And a horrible mustache. Oh man, the one is the one with Hayden Christensen,
I'm sold.
and another one is one with Elijah Wood in it.
Also
It actually looked kind of good.
They all do.
Dang.
All right, so make sure you check that out. That'll be out next week. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next week.
Three Wise Radio is a production of Three Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.